Warren Buffett said, if you're not willing to own a stock for 10 years, do not even think about owning it for 10 minutes. I turned to some of the top analysts from Morningstar and Nasdaq to see what the pros are investing in. And after a ton of research, I found 4 stocks that kept popping up. And one of them is obvious, 3 are quite surprising, but all of them are built to last. They are Rentokil Initial, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, Berkshire Hathaway, and Coloplast. And I'll be sharing exactly why these companies are doing well, what you need to consider, and why analysts are looking at them with a huge microscope. The first one, Rentokil, might surprise you. This one was founded in 1925 in the UK, and they actually started out as a rat poison manufacturer. Now, you might be listening and going, okay, Sim, I am here to make money. Why is a rat poison manufacturer one of the top 4 stocks to buy and hold forever? What is going on here? But hear me out. It is now one of the world's largest pest control and hygiene service companies, and there's a few reasons why it's a winner. The first is that it is a recession-proof industry. Think about it. Times will come and go. People will have more money, people will have less money, people will worry about travel, and then when times are hard, they'll be like, okay, I cannot afford travel. But do you know what we will never stop doing? Screaming when we see a rat. Screaming when we see a cockroach. I had a cockroach in my house a few months ago, and this cockroach, I tried to grab it and I couldn't find it. Do you know what I did? I left my house, I locked it, I drove to my parents' home, and I slept in the spare bedroom because there was no way in hell that I was going to sleep in the same home that a cockroach was in. That to me is a recession-proof industry because no matter what happens, people need pest control. I called up a guy and I was like, whatever it takes, get this cockroach out. And he was like, you don't actually bomb these homes. You put cockroach, it's kind of spray on the outsides because they come in through the crevices. And I did this whole mental breakdown thing where I was like, am I dirty? Is my house dirty? And he was like, no, it's not a sign of a dirty home. But it is a recession-proof industry. And that means that the share price is not going to suddenly drop because people aren't going to suddenly go, oh my God, I do not have enough money. I guess I will live with the pests. We will find a way to get rid of the pests. The second is a massive market share growth. This company in particular has aggressively acquired a lot of other pest control companies, cementing its dominance. And the reason why this is important is because it is not a difficult business to start. So there's not a very strong moat. Anyone can kind of buy the equipment needed to kill pests. It's not like they have a patent. It's not like it's anything unique. So they can't really be a good share or a good company to invest in that sense. So instead, they've done what a lot of companies in this sector do, which is they've gone, okay, let's raise money and then take that money to just buy out every single one of our competitors so that our moat, our thing that makes us special and unique, is that just we own all of them. And I've seen this with a education company that started called Crimson in New Zealand. And when Crimson began, now they're a global company. But at the start, they took that sort of rapid approach of just buying out every single tutoring company in the country that would have eaten into their profit share. They just bought them all out. And so that was allowing them to scale massively and become a $1 billion business. Now, the third thing, and the thing that make investors get really hot and flustered, if you say this to an investor, I cannot be responsible for how they're going to react. And I would just say carry a tissue with you because they are going to drool and it's not a pretty look. But this company has recurring revenue. Investors froth over recurring revenue. Recurring revenue is the itch that makes them happy. Recurring revenue is Kris Jenner hearing that another one of her children is going to start a company. It is just so good. But customers in this business model sign long-term contracts, and so it creates a steady cash flow and quite predictable growth. Now, the key advantage that this company has over, let's say, other companies is that they operate in a boring but an essential industry. So it's profitable, and that is essentially what I love to see. I understand people being okay, well, B2B SaaS and tech companies and the future, and this isn't scalable. but it is an essential industry. Yes, it's boring. Yes, it's not exciting, but tech stocks go through booms and busts. And a lot of younger investors, myself included, we actually haven't seen tech stocks drop the way they did in the 2000s, boom and bust, when we had the dot-com bubble. Tech stocks do well for a while and then drop off for a little while, but you don't really see this in service-based industries, especially essential services. And so they quietly compound year by year. And Warren Buffett loves businesses like these, companies that are essential, that are profitable, and more importantly, they are not reliant on hype. This is not the kind of company that if they do not post like viral content, that they go out of business. Or this is not the kind of company that people will be like, oh, you know what? I just like don't believe in pest control. Like we will always continue to see this. And if anything, you'll also see quite large commercial grade contracts where you have large corporates, large buildings going, hey, we have a big warehouse out in the country and we need to make sure that pests don't come and, eat the food that we are making in this warehouse or, chew on the cables in this warehouse. And so they will pay year-long contracts. And the thing with businesses is they are busy, so they don't have time to be like, this is a current pest control company that we have. Should we like if a business is looking at ways of cutting costs, they're going to look at things like their employees. They're not going to look at who is doing our cleaning and who is doing our pest control. Those are kind of lower on the tier of cutting down on costs. The second share to look at is the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing. And Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, also known as TSCM, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, was founded in 1987 by Morris Chang. And Morris went to Harvard, and then Morris transferred to MIT, which is such a prestigious university if you're not from the US. And then he was like, you know what? That is not enough. Harvard and MIT. No, I'm also going to get a doctorate from Stanford. And so this company that he ended up founding became the world's largest and most advanced semiconductor manufacturer. Now, what is a semiconductor manufacturer? Well, what they do is they make chips. They're the largest, in fact, the number one chip maker globally. So they make chips, not the chips we eat, not Bluebird chips, not kettle chips. They make chips for companies in the technological sense, not the eating sense. So think Apple, think Nvidia, think AMD, and basically every major tech company that needs processing chips, GPUs, these guys are the largest manufacturers of them. And they have what is considered such an advantage, which is they have an unmatched technological moat. What that means, because remember we talked about moats with the last one, moats are an ability for a company to be almost like have an unfair advantage, like just be so good at what they do that no one else can copy them. So most of the common moats that you think about is like Coca-Cola. Anyone can make a cola, but no one will have the brand of Coca-Cola, and that is what makes it so special. So in this chip company, no one else can manufacture at this company's level of precision and efficiency. They are so precise, they are so efficient, and because they produce them at such a large scale, they can do it at a very economically efficient cost. Also, we live in a time where yes, this company has been around for a while. They have been hustling. They have been working hard. They are like, chips are going to be the future. And everyone's like, okay, buddy, like, keep going, Morris. Looks like you're working hard. But eventually, the need for chips has finally reached the desire that he has had. And now with AI, with 5G, and with EV growth, the entire like future of AI, the entire future of self-driving cars, cloud computing, these all depend on semiconductors. And do you know who makes them? This company. And like, not to be dramatic, because I guess this is a little bit dramatic, but they control like the world's most critical technology. Without it, tech giants literally cannot function. It is as if a company was the only company in the world that made retinol, and they were like, okay, yeah, like you guys can buy retinol off us, but we have to make it. Like they make it a picks and shovel play on the future of AI, cloud computing, and automation. And what that means in simple terms is like without them, they are basically the group of people. Have you ever heard of the saying like in a gold rush, don't sell gold, sell shovels? Like if everyone is like AI and like this is the next step, this is the next thing we do. Okay, yes, I hear you. And you're like, okay, but they're not the company that is making AI. They are the company that goes, okay, there is a gold rush everyone's running to buy gold, everyone's running to find the next gold nugget. We're going to sell shovels because everyone that wants to buy gold needs a shovel, and everyone that wants to buy gold needs a pick. And so when there is a gold rush, be the person, be the company, or back the company that sells the shovels. And so everyone that is interested in building AI often are required to rely on this company because they're the ones that sell the chips. They're the ones that sell the semiconductors. And so while there are companies like Apple and Nvidia competing, you've got like the AI wars of like ChatGPT against, it was like DeepSeek for a little while. And then we've got Google's ChatGPT equivalent growing. And we see all these other companies being like, no, our AI is better. No, our AI is better. And they're like sitting there fighting it out, like getting real catty. Like they are the Kardashian sisters having a go at each other. Meanwhile, Rob is chilling in the back. Meanwhile, Chris is making commission on all of them. Like you've got Courtney and Kim being like, I don't work as hard as you. You don't work as hard as me. You're not interesting to look at. It's hard. But you know who's making money regardless? Kris Jenner. Kris Jenner is sitting there being like, this amount of publicity of my two daughters fighting is like great for both their businesses. And I'm going to make 10% on both of them. Like that is where you want to be. You do not want to be Apple. You do not want to be Nvidia. You don't want to be competing in this space, but you want to be the company that they all rely on. And this company has the technology to survive, and they have a competitive advantage that is very difficult for someone to come and swoop and do what they do better than them. The third company to be looking into is Berkshire Hathaway. Now, this is Warren Buffett's investment empire, but it's also a company that you can buy into. You can purchase into his company that buys other companies. It sounds a little bit like a pyramid scheme, but it is legitimate. Warren Buffett, we trust, we believe he is our God. And Berkshire Hathaway is the powerhouse that we know today when Warren Buffett took control in 1965, where in that company he owned companies like Apple, like Coca-Cola, shares of these companies. But when it started out, it was actually a textile business that he bought and turned it into a holding company. Now, a holding company can sound really confusing. And I remember when I was younger, the first time I heard about it, I was like, what? Like a textile company? So he sells clothes and buys shares of Apple? Like, I'm so confused. But essentially, he just needed a company that already existed. I actually don't know why. I don't know why he just started a company, but maybe it was a different time. Maybe there was more paperwork involved. Like maybe I'm just speaking from privilege because where I live, you can just like go online and make a company and register it. But maybe there was more involved. So he thought it was easier to buy a company and then he gutted it out. So he wasn't selling textiles as far as I was concerned. And instead he used it to buy other company shares. The way that you personally would buy company shares, he did it through an entity, through a business. And the reason why it's a winner, the reason why analysts are predicting this to be a good company or a good share to hold in the long term is in itself, it is like a mini share market because it owns such a diverse set of profitable businesses. So you are reducing your risk. It is like investing in an index fund. Rather than an index fund, it is a portfolio of companies that Berkshire Hathaway has chosen. And so what the smartest investors in the game like to do is that they like to imagine that they are trying to be like Warren Buffett or beat Warren Buffett, but instead of trying to beat him, you could also just invest in what he invests in. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, rest in peace, built a compounding machine with Berkshire, and it often outperformed the S&P 500, the US share market, time and time again. But the thing that really sets it apart, and what I would say is its competitive edge, is it has cash flow and it has dividends. So unlike most companies where you're going, okay, I hear you, like, fine, I'll buy a share of Google or I'll buy a share of Alphabet and, maybe I'll get a dividend or two, but like not a lot. If you invest in Berkshire Hathaway, they earn billions from its businesses, which they reinvest for even more growth, and they also give dividends. So you're likely to see this company's share price go up. So you have capital gains, but then you also see dividends. And if you ask anyone that invests in them and you're like, well, okay, but why have you invested in them? They'll explain it in a way that Berkshire Hathaway shares are like investing in a forever ETF. But instead of picking and choosing individual shares yourself, you are getting exposure to some of the best companies in the world managed by some of the best investors in the world. And you are getting a huge concentration of the best that are looking to invest in value-based businesses. They're looking for value shares. So what that means is they're looking to find really, really good companies, but these companies are like on sale for some reason. It's like buying Tatcha skincare. The moisturizer is great. We know it's great. But for some reason, the manufacturer accidentally slapped on like a Nivea label and it looks like it's cheaper. And you're like, oh, well, I don't really want that. But you know that this is Tatcha. You know this is the good stuff. And even though it is on sale right now, you know that other people are going to realize and they're going to try and jump in so you get it as cheap as possible. Value shares are also shares of companies that are really good companies, but maybe they've had like one bad piece of news and the share price has tanked. Like let's say maybe there was a company and it turns out that that company had a little bit of a controversy, but the controversy was quite small. A lot of other investors got scared, they pulled their money out, but you knew that this wasn't something that was true, or you had a feeling that this would blow over, so you bought those shares at a much cheaper price. Then everyone else realized, but you had bought early, the share price goes up, and you end up making a profit. The next company to consider is Coloplast. Coloplast is the healthcare giant you've probably never heard of, and it was founded in 1975 in Denmark. They started by developing the first ever disposable ostomy bags. So an ostomy bag is something that people will wear sort of in their lower bowel area where it is a pouch outside of you. It often can catch urine or stool, and it is used by people who have health conditions that affect their body in a way where their digestive system maybe needs a bit of an extra hand. They come in different sizes, shapes, and various features. You might have seen them. I think a lot of people on social media now are trying to normalize their bags and showcase like, hey, this is actually a little bit more common than you think, but oftentimes they're hidden under people's clothes, like their t-shirts, so you don't really see them. And you might be thinking, Simran, isn't that a colostomy bag? Well, an ostomy is like the overarching term, and then colostomy are the ones just for stool, whereas ostomy might be for urine as well. And over time, they ended up just becoming a healthcare company in general that specializes in three things. They're Danish. They specialize in wound care, continence care. So incontinence is when you secrete urine even when you are trying not to. So think like when you laugh and you need to pee, but like a lot more serious. And also ostomy products. And the reason why this company is a winner is they are an essential healthcare product. People need these products regardless of economic downturns. You can think of them as kind of similar to the first option that we spoke of. We need pest control. And also we need essential healthcare products. Another thing that's really worth mentioning is they have high switching costs, because once a hospital or a healthcare provider is like, okay, we will work with you, like you have the bags every time one of our patients needs a bag, like you're the supplier that we choose, it is very unlikely that they will choose to switch. It is very rare. Like hospital administrations, we know them. We've been to a hospital, like they have so many other things to focus on first, like hospital wait time and like pay of staff and rostering and like short demand of staff. Like I come from New Zealand, which our healthcare system is very much like Canada, very much like the UK with the NHS. It is slow. We are so slow that there have been people that have passed away in the waiting room waiting to see a doctor. So that is horrific. Hospitals are really, really struggling right now. And so these kind of administrative tasks are very difficult for them to work with and work through. The other thing that's worth considering is that we are, for better or for worse, growing an aging population. As we look at population graphs of countries like 15, 20, 30 years ago, if you look at a country like Japan, we had a lot of young people, and that young people paid taxes towards taking care of a smaller group of older people. As time goes on, we are seeing less and less people have children. We are also seeing that healthcare is getting better, so older people are living longer. And so less young people being born and older people living longer means that populations are starting to grow much older. And so if you look at a country like Japan now, they have a much smaller group of young people that are taxpayers and a much larger group of elderly. And so as global populations age and continue to grow, the demand for Coloplast products just keep on rising. And Morningstar said that the aging populations in developed countries and their growing incidence of inflammatory bowel disease should lead to growth for this company's products. You might be thinking like, Sim, is it wrong to be profiting off something so sad? Like, it feels kind of icky, and I completely agree. Part of me doesn't feel great when I look at, okay, like, I don't want more disease in the world. I don't want more people to struggle. But I think there is a way. One, you don't have to invest in it. Like, if you cannot agree to this, that is totally fine. But two, you can also look at it as it is a fact of life that as we get older, we are going to have more health problems. So I want to invest in good companies that create solutions that make people feel like they are aging with dignity and make people feel like they have choices. And you really can go either side, but I think that's what ethical investing means to me. You also want to think that Coloplast is what we like to call a defensive stock. So it doesn't rely on hype, it doesn't rely on trends, it doesn't rely on speculation. It just keeps growing because people always need higher quality healthcare products. And in a world where we are living, companies like Coloplast stand to gain massively because these sad things that are occurring are a fact of life. I also think it is worth mentioning that you do not have to invest in one or the other. If you invest in health insurance companies, you might be thinking, oh my God, like, am I investing in something terrible? But what you will realize is health insurance companies spend a lot of money, a lot of research and development, R&D budgets to keep people healthier. And you might be thinking, why would they do that? They don't want you to take out money and take a claim where they have to pay for your insurance. Like, they want you to pay those monthly insurance bills, but they do not want you to actually need insurance. So how do healthcare insurance companies do that? Well, in the world that I live in New Zealand, they do that by incentivizing keeping populations healthy. Like, a lot of staff in these insurance companies will get given like free Fitbits. They have like, one of my friends used to work at a health insurance company, and they would get paid $1 for like every 10,000 steps that they walked or something insane. And my friend, she would make me walk around the block time and time again because she was like, I am going to get that $5 this week. And I was like, yes, girl, you are. But the idea that investing in one thing leads to a bad outcome is not necessarily true. And I think what I truly and wholeheartedly believe in is that when you decide to invest, you are taking your money and you are using it as a form of activism to say, I believe in this, so I'm going to invest here. I believe in Berkshire Hathaway, so I'm going to invest there. I believe in pest controls. I don't think anyone has ever said that in their life, but I believe in XYZ, so I'm going to invest in these businesses. And it can seem really overwhelming and confusing to figure out, well, what's a good company to invest in, Sim? I still don't understand. It's really hard. And honestly, for most people, the best way to get started with investing is to invest in a broad market index fund. This is a fund filled with hundreds, if not thousands of companies. You can do it from the US, you can do it from Australia, from New Zealand, the UK, the ASX 200, the FTSE 100, the S&P 500. There are lots of different ways to invest in broad market index funds that have exposure to companies like these, which takes out the confusion of having to choose. But if you decide that you want to put 1 to 5% of your investment portfolio into individual companies, these 4 companies are the ones that analysts have predicted to buy and hold for the long term. Now, if you've enjoyed this podcast episode, let me know. The best thing that you can do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, is to send this episode to a friend, because the more people that we get to reach, the more people learn about growing their money and investing. We end up living in a world where more people have choice. And what more can we ask for? With that, I'll see you next Tuesday.